compliance, ROC, and the new available option in terms of customized approach defined from defined to customized approach. So and compensating controls, we did speak, and we did speak about certain changes on the template in terms of additional requirement for assessors to fill certain details around the QA. We did speak about signature requirement for more accountability, evidence retention. We did speak about the entities going through version 4.0 have to go through a stringent process of doing filling up the control matrix, and for all the customized or the innovative products they have. We did speak about that, and we did speak about both the roles as an assessor and an entity who is going through the PCI DSS assessment. And we did speak about certain changes in terms of from the current standard, which doesn't offer you a partial assessment scheme, but 4.0 partial assessment is offered. So that's good thing. And there are many good things actually. That's one good thing we spoke. And we did speak about the necessity of for certain entities like bank issuers issuing cards to have the certain sensitive authentication data to be stored for the sake of authentication purpose itself. So the 4.0 is trying to be very flexible to accommodate all the dynamicity and the changes and the realistic requirements from the industry perspective. I think we did speak about certain changes in terms of from the SAC perspective on SAQs or level 2 assessments, in terms of they cannot use customized approach because the document is restricted. It is not extensive to accommodate such a certain thing. So we did speak about yeah, once again, I think to refresh, we ran through the 4.0 actual slides in terms of the responsibilities. Refreshed once again those things. We stopped at this point, which is slide number 52, 53. Yeah. So talking about if you have an innovative product which doesn't fit into the scenario of the defined scenario of the PCI DSS standard. So then the customized approach is used, and which calls for templates to be used, which is under Appendix E, E1 and E2 to support the customized approach. So those control matrix template and targeted risk analysis. See, you all have to understand is this targeted risk analysis. Why this TRAS come into place? Okay. As a very technical guy, a risk assessment is extensive, and an enterprise risk assessment ERM or risk management ERM or ERA, all right, risk assessment, they are extensive. That will be covering the entire scope of the enterprise. A targeted risk analysis is focused towards a specific target, and there is a specific objective to be attained, right? That's the control objective of the that particular control objective defined as per the example. If you're specifically looking at having an innovative product which can do multiple things, scan the system for malware, scan the system for also for the applications to check if they're vulnerable or not. Now, usually an antivirus, anti-malware system only is locally resident, and locally resident now they are more or less. An antivirus is a piece of software. Anti-malware is a piece of software in a traditional way, running on the system, doing certain job of making sure that there is safeguarding your system round the clock to see through that there is no virus coming into the system and they don't infect. Now, the things have evolved. Traditionally, that's a definition, right? But things have got evolved. Now it's no more a piece of software sitting. Maybe a piece of code is sitting, or a piece of very tiny piece of software sitting, but major brain is somewhere else. And the agent does all the, as per the configuration, basic configuration, agent does all the checks. It's going to do behavioral analysis. It's going to do dynamic analysis. It's going to do, it's going to do scans also, and it does a lot of things. But it's gone thin, but it does a lot of things than just about antivirus. It also does behavioral analysis. Means it has the component of integrity check means some of the files you did some online thing and something got downloaded and something is now trying to do something else on the system, trying to go alter a critical file on a system. Now such behaviors are checked and you're gonna get a trigger on that and the central dashboard will receive it. Yeah, I just gave you just to start as an example, right? So there could be more. Yeah, let me go to full screen mode from current slide. So control matrix has to be filled by entity while assessor reviews it. Means an assessor, QSA, qualified security assessor, reviews it, but entity has to take a call to fill up the whole control matrix because it's entities call to bring a unique solution, and they might have done all the due diligence. They might have done all the checks. Why they have gone checks before they bring any such solution of the solution fitting into their organization and filling the necessary business objectives. Okay. Now, also they might have done corresponding, checks in terms of whether it's meeting the security objective. It's a security product, right? We are talking here most of the time security here because we are not into any other story. So these are the fields. What is the control about? What is the control of the safeguard about? Where exactly is the control implemented? So what does the control means? What does control do? What kind of control is it? Is this an anti malware? Is this a file integrity check? What does that do? Is it a IDS intrusion detection system? Is it doing something else? Is it file integrity monitoring system, or is it a agent running and sending certain all the collecting all the logs to? So it's is it a unique solution, combine multiple technologies together, one solution doing it? Now you have this responsibility as an entity to fill up what is that particular safeguard or the controls you have bought for your organization to meet a specific business objective, and in turn that's going to meet a specific security objective, and that's in turn going to satisfy a particular strategy and a goal. That's how it is derived. It's all from top down approach and bottom up approach. Everything flows clean and neat if you look at. So very importantly, you need to understand is responsibility and accountability. Now the new standard has bought a lot of what means they've just embedded this accountability and responsibility into every single requirement, because they want to make sure that there is a full accountability. They believe that if there is a role, there should be an accountability and they should be responsible enough. Otherwise, any costly controls being implemented, they're gonna go deficient straight. They're not gonna be effective. They're not gonna be doing the job as defined or as per the books, right? So yeah, so that's one thing they've done. And who is involved in managing and maintaining? Who is involved in managing and maintaining the controls, right? And definitely the monitoring part is one thing. Definitely the monitoring part is one thing that very crucial, which is there for ages now. Without monitoring, you don't know whether the actual objectives have been met, whether the metrics have been met, the performance parameters have been defined, has been met or not, right? So it's very important that now we document all this as part of the control matrix. And now this was general, but if you look at the bottom part, it's also talking about specifically PCI DSS requirement, which is satisfying, because your special solution, innovative solution, what you are using might satisfy multiple PCI requirement or single PCI requirement. They don't know, or the QSA doesn't know. It is you as an organization should be putting up those requirements. At the top also there is met with this control requirement number and the objectives. And further details are there in the bottom, right? It's just a snapshot for you all to know, that there is a lot of work. That's what I want to say. But there is a lot of interesting content coming in terms of how the whole technology landscape, how the whole technology and the landscape is evolving, right? At the same time, the threat actors and the motivations and the threat landscape is also evolved very huge, and there's a lot of possibility to for the threats to come in, and there are a lot of vulnerabilities if you don't take care of the system, means you don't have a proper process to govern the system. Yeah, process is it has to be executed, and the governance is on the top of it to make sure the process is also running up to the mark or not. So it is not just technical control, administratively also it has to be governed. So this is all the basic missing parameters among many organizations who call themselves very big, but lucky they are running big, but many a times they get into a trouble later stage when the luck fails, right? Then they are in soup. So very important to see that you're small or big doesn't matter, you are doing right. Targeted risk analysis, as I said, is about specific target. Means you can do a targeted risk analysis on a human being, means on a people perspective also. You get a contractor into your organization, and what could be the impact of this contractor coming in, and what kind of job he's doing, what kind of access has to be provided to him. Would you give him all the access? Would you give him access to the processing room? Would you give him access to the data center? Is he, what is the role? What is he doing? Is the contractor doing some administrative job? Is he, does he need technical access? Is he doing any technical role for him to have server room access? So this is simple example of targeted risk analysis and documenting, saying this is the role of the contractor coming in, and is a limited, and we have limited his access to this day because the contract is only for a period of 3 months. So that's what, right? So I'm just giving that insight. I know I have a very less time, but I want to make sure that today it's more meaningful. Yesterday was meaningful, today is more meaningful, right? So CHD, asset being protected, right? What asset is being protected? And that protected asset, what are the risk or the vulnerability this asset might have from the physical perspective, from the logical perspective, in terms of what application they're running, what platform they're running, what could be the possibility that the platform can be compromised. Are we doing are there continuous updates? Are there patches for the application? Is the application safe? There is assessment done on all this, right? Threat actors, motivation and capabilities, likelihood of an attack or compromise. Means you need to understand. So there is a risk, right? Always there is a risk. Okay, it's the risk is always there. Okay, how do you minimize the risk? Means overall you do a targeted risk analysis on each of the function or each of the system in a function, and then all these results together club together becomes an enterprise risk analysis or assessment. And then you take this report, consolidated report, and see what is your risk appetite, what does your organization has a good risk appetite or not, is the question. So I've gone little beyond PCI DSS just to make sure it is not just a dry session talking only PCI DSS. PCI DSS otherwise only talks about, yeah, we got this. PCI 4.0 only talks about you need to do this, and that's it. There is nothing else there. They speak about generally on tips and all this, because they just look at, because the standard guidelines and standard, the guidelines is still discretionary in nature, but standards are mandatory in nature. Means you don't have an option to disobey, or you don't have an option to rewrite anything there. You just have to obey. So the guidelines, you still can be discretionary. You can just read it and forget about it. so that's why. But I'm coming up with some tips, because we just don't want to make it very dry here. Because it's 4.0 is still evolving, and the standard is not being I don't think so any customer has already executed 4.0 on a real time. They might be doing some dry runs there called readiness programs and stuff. Yeah, that's it. So now there is one new word which has come, which is they are talking mischief. This is a dictionary, a 100% dictionary word. So, and for me, this word is, I did not excite me, to be honest, but because of the word itself, because that doesn't sound very technical. It sounds like something freaky or something funny. But yeah, it is adapted now, mischief, right? This is a negative occurrence. You look at that, refers to an occurrence or event that negatively affects the security posture. Negative occurrence, actually, it's a negative occurrence, mischief, right? Means you put a control to stop a problem. Now, mischief is a negative occurrence, means it's about that negative thing which happens even you add a control, but still somebody could jump into that. You had a balls, you had a physical control, doors, and you had a gate and all this. You have a security, but still somebody could walk in. That's mischief, right? So it affected the overall, because somebody could come in and do something, right? And then it became an incident. So then it called, something is affected. Yeah. So that's how it is. So okay, all right. So I'm just gonna. So now back to this word mischief, particularly talking about when we are talking about, we talk about it can be spoken across the requirement, right? Now they are giving example of malicious software executes, but actually you don't want any malicious program to sit and execute. A ransomware, as an example, is very dangerous and malicious, right? Intent. Malicious is the intent, actually. Intent was malicious because the files got locked, and now they're asking a ransom amount, that too they want to trade it in the darknet. They want to they ask in the bitcoins or any of those, right, cryptocurrencies, because they don't want to leave traces. So it's malicious, right? It's talking about as this is an example here. Daily responsibility for activities are allocated. There is no responsibility allocated, or there is a role, but there is no responsibility. Okay, then role-based access control is definitely a question. There is no point of talking about RBAC when there is no predefined responsibilities for the role. Okay. So now for the TRA, targeted risk analysis for customized approach. So specifically going on the TRA perspective, right? Identify the requirement, describe your proposed solution, analyze changes to likelihood of a breach. Means what could be, I know your solution is already, you feel very confident, because we all are like that. We never it's our baby, we never take the blame on our baby, right? If we bet, if we buy anything, we always feel that I bought the best. Okay, and that is the until something goes really seriously wrong. We all have a tendency to say that, yeah, no, I've got the best, yeah, and all this. That's human psychology. So now you need to still analyze, right? Analyze changes to likelihood of a breach, and analyze changes to impact of unauthorized access to the information, how the information can be accessed. Here, account data, PCI DSS perspective, it's account data. It's only personal account number, sensitive data, or whatever, right? CHD is the parameter. Now, as I said, it's more it's been replaced by account data. And then there should be a approval on that. Review first and then approval, right? So targeted. Who's gonna approve that? You yourself cannot do an analysis and put an approval. And many do that. Actually, that's wrong, right? There should be a committee. There should be a committee, or there should be an appropriate person, maybe a security officer kind of thing, or a risk manager who approves it, right? Okay. So now further, appendix F. There is an appendix. Now I was talking about appendix E. Appendix F is talking about PCI software security framework. Now this is brand new. Okay, PADSS has been set to expire. They have set the expiry. Their October 2023, and they're offsetting, right? So The new standard is SSF. There are two standards under the SSF. Okay, one is the standard, another one is the secure software standard. Lifecycle standard means lifecycle means full. Software security lifecycle is full lifecycle of the product development. So another is secure software standard itself. Okay, two things, right? Maybe the objective is to fit in all the different scenarios. Why there are two standards? To fit in all the different scenarios, right? So something doesn't have to go through a full life cycle, right? That's why these two standards are coming. Now, software that is developed and maintained in accordance with their standard can help the entity to meet several PCI DSS. But there is nowhere in PCI DSS 4.0 they are saying you need to have the software certified through one of these SSF framework standards or anything. There is no force, there is no compulsion, anything there. Okay, but it will help. Okay, it will help is what it says, right? Yeah, it says here without having to perform additional details testing. Yeah, it says here. Now, leveraging the PCI SSF to support requirement 6. We know from 3.2.1 to 4.0, requirement 6 is still about the developing and maintaining softwares, right? Secure software development lifecycle, designing. From the design stage you need to have the security embedded, and you make sure that your developers are trained and stuff. So same thing, but now, entity uses software that has been developed by a vendor who has been assessed by a secure SLC assessor. Means life cycle assessor means these developers know the entire life cycle to develop a secure software. They're pretty much aware of this framework. Means they're gonna meet the requirements of the PCI SSF. Okay, and that's gonna help to greater extent. It's an assurance, once again, assurance to you as an assessor, or to me as an assessor, that yeah, these products have been already assessed, right? So confirm vendor is listed. Software was developed through the vendor secure SLC. Entity follows implementation guidance from the vendor. Requirements affected under 6. 3 requirements: 6.2, 6.3, and 6.5. Okay, all right, thank you. We just got into requirements now, just now. Until now it's a story around. We did speak about a lot of technical things, maybe from general perspective. Right now we are very focused on the changes, very focused towards the changes only. For all those who are planning for 4.0, this is a golden opportunity for you to quickly understand some of the things and do your own homework later. Otherwise it's going to be a homework and more work because it's not easy. These documents all come 300, 200 pages, and you got to read through, right? So now requirement number 1, let's talk. So 3.2.1, talking about firewall, networks, routers, switches. All these stories are generalized, gone. Now it is NSC, network security control, or the context is network security rather than being specific about a firewall. They don't want to talk anymore because the cloud domination, once again, in the cloud, we usually don't, there is no physical firewalls when you have a subscription on the cloud, and all you do is you do your security groups or security configurations or rules. You just write it there. That's it, right? So things have changed. So there's no point in talking about specifically firewalls, right? Now, network security controls. There is a change. What is it? Configurations. Now, before they never spoke about, they're talking about rule review, firewall rule review. You have to do a firewall rule review half yearly and all this, right? Now there is additionally there is a story which is coming, which is changes to configuration. Means this was never explicitly mentioned before. Changes to the configuration of NSEs must be done in accordance with requirement 6, which is one additional change. And another thing is that now not just firewall rule review, Does the configuration of NSEs are also have to be reviewed every 6 months? Wow, that's good actually. That's good. Why? Because it's really bad for people who are already burdened with work and they don't have enough resources. But it is good for the organization so that they got um, lesser risk profile or the risk appetite. The risk appetite is getting better, or there's a lesser scope for issues or the vulnerabilities, or there's a lesser issues there. So because this we're going to ensure that the configurations are all in sync and they are as per the organization requirement, and there is no out of sync configurations there, and it is up to the standards. So those are the checks. Ideally, the intention is to make sure that configurations are intact and they are not modified, the integrity of the configuration, and it is up to the standards, right? Okay, let me just give me a minute. Yeah, just to save some bandwidth for all. So now, if you look at may include word, it means they then from narrow context to broader perspective, broader context. Now they narrow down before saying physical firewalls, end user computing firewalls, perimeter firewalls. Now it's not pertaining. May include means it may include also include other things, right? Virtual devices, your virtual context of firewall, your security groups, your a lot of other things. In case if you have SDN, software defined networking, you have a controllers and stuff. Everything, yeah, everything goes there, goes into that NSC. Now, on requirement 1, that's a major change. Okay, and I've already said, covered all this. Well, there's one more language change, language terminology changes. This replaces the old language of secure and synchronized. I think that was really that word itself was really misleading actually, because secure and synchronized, the word doesn't really see how the secure and synchronized might happen, or what is the expectation around that. But now it is clear. Yeah, it's been made clear, because many a times the people are thinking it is active configuration, active passive configuration, high availability in both firewalls or both routers. Should a lot of stories. You can write your own stories in your brain, or create your stories and write it on the books, right? That part of that part of the cloud is gone. Yeah. The clarity emerges there in terms of now requirement number 2. There's not much, as I said, from just give me a minute. My AC is not really working. I'm just trying to check. It's too hot here. So requirement number 2. So apply secure configuration to all systems. Before they were talking about more or less it's like hardening, right? It's like, oh, you got to harden the system. Now the terminologies have been changed, but one thing we need to understand, even on requirement number 1, actually, I think I'm not highlighted. The first, every requirement, the first thing it starts is the roles and responsibility. On every single requirement, now the roles and responsibility, the first control under requirement number 1. So sub requirement under requirement number 1 as 1.1 or 1.1.1 or 1.2 would be the first thing to start is roles and responsibility. Now they're making sure everywhere it's clearly defined, right? The example here, if you look at title change, yeah, apply secure configuration to all system components. Now it's the title has changed, requirement number 2. New sub requirement, see, there's a new sub requirement. This is there in all requirement now. I'm just generalizing. Every requirement from 1 to 12 has this, very important. So description of roles and responsibility of performing activities in requirement 2 are documented and assigned. Means now the assessor has to explicitly make sure, check explicitly, implicitly, always, all the ways available. He has to make sure that there is a role and there is a defined role and there is a responsibility assigned and it has been executed. There is no conflict of interest there, and they understand the responsibilities. There should be interview, there should be observation, and there can be additional evidences, system evidences or something to confirm that. But here it says that identify the evidence reference number for section 6 or all documentation examined for this documentation, and then interview. It says here documentation and interview. Okay. So now further overview of changes to requirement number 2. There's a lot of tweaks, updates, changes on the terminology of the words, right? Vendor default. They were talking about vendor default, means vendor default passwords and stuff, right? Now very now things have been made clear. Not just on vendor supply defaults. It says now account for new vulnerabilities that are identified, means it's just not talking about the vendor defaults. Everything, all defaults have to be taken care. Now, there was a requirement which was talking about primary function for no, there should not be any conflicting functions in the same system. There should not be any multiple primary function. Now they are explicitly clarified there. In case if there is a multiple primary function, there should be enough isolation and segregation to the level that their security is not compromised, and the security is at the highest level and the function don't get compromised. So that part of the clarification has been provided. Now there is one important change. There used to be necessity for collecting inventory, and thank God that should not be landing here, and ideally functionally logically this has been moved to requirement number 12, because requirement number 12 as an umbrella should be holding, because actually risk assessment is under requirement 12. So ideally speaking, so inventory should be part of requirement number 12. Technically it should be part of requirement 12. That consolidation is being done very well. Now just give me a minute. I think we forgot to record none of them. Also, I think, is it recording? Yeah, it's recording. Okay. So yeah, just my own consciousness reminding you did not do the job, whether other people did or not. You just have to be conscious. So overview, lot of interesting things here, and lot of investment in the future. Means not investments will come for the entity, but they have to invest. Means they have to burn cash. Now overview of changes to requirement number 3. Requirement number 3 is storage. Now, this was about securing systems. First one was about network security, or as a context, right? Or the overall all the network security devices and stuff. And now it's storage, data at rest. Now, the data is at rest, means we have to protect the data which is at rest on the system, which is pertaining to the storage. Now, before in 3.2.1, specifically, they're talking about SAD cannot be stored after authorization, right? Now, as I said already, SAD can be stored. SAD stored prior authorization, SAD stored after authorization in case of issuers and stuff. But there are other things which has come in. Now the table was there, we saw that. Masking and truncation rules, hashing. Now additional requirement on hashing function, and additional requirement on encryption in case if the storage system has a removable, means it has a disk which is attached and it is not removable, and if you have a full pan means 16-digit, your account number is getting stored there. Now, before, if disk encryption was enabled on that disk encryption, please understand, I gave this context to one of the customer to make them understand what is disk encryption. It is simple, very simple, no rocket science and we can make people understand, anybody. It is like a housekeeping. It's like a house, right? House, and you got a house and you got a partitions in your house. You got rooms, you got hall and all this. It's like a database, and you got a database, and you got a table, and you got certain columns, and you got certain rows inside that, and you got the whole database as well. That's your whole house. In the disk encryption was like this. Irrespective of on the disk how many database is running, doesn't care, doesn't matter. The whole disk is encrypted, and the database sitting on top of it. Actually, disk is at the physical front, means that is something at the provider, server provider, example EMC, EMC Square, right? EMC Square or any of the IBM, provide if they provide the hardware. So the disk is at the whole disk level, right? Now, before, if the disk encryption was enabled, that we could have still taken that into account and said that, yeah, the keys are managed, disk encryption is enabled and it's safely, its keys are managed and nobody has access to it, and we could close, the assessor could close that requirement 3.2.1. But now means in the future soon, that requirement is getting evolved in terms of saying you need to have additional level of encryption. We'll see through that. Now, roles and responsibility, as I said, common now, very clear. And 3.2.1 SAT stored pre-authorization. There is a requirement there. We need to assessor has to assess how they are storing and what is the encryption, how they manage the keys for the SAD, encrypt SAT pre-authorization. Yeah, once again continues, right? Issuers encrypting SAT now. Issuers also encrypt for a long time. Means they store after authorization also because they have a need. Now that one also is clearly covered. Now additionally, there is a requirement which has come in. This is a very good requirement, okay, because when people access remotely, there is a chance that they might copy the PAN into the system. Is there a possibility? First, targeted risk analysis. Is there a possibility when people access system remotely, can they copy the PAN into their desktop? So that's to rule out that possibility, right? Example, database admin is okay because he has a role, but somebody else viewing it, if they can copy that content through a terminal and paste it into their notepad and by mistake save it on the desktop, and there is a full PAN, live PAN, it's a live PAN, active PAN, then it is an issue, right? So remote access is covered there, which is coming as a new requirement, brand new, okay? So keyed hashing function, brand new. I'll tell you, to cause more headache, more trouble for companies. So they have to look out for new solution controls products, right? Now another one is disk encryption under that, and then service provider keys in test environment. So we'll see through some of these, yeah, one by one. So what I've done is back to school, okay, because I did not really wanted to put the snapshot as it is from the any of the templates of SSE and all this content. I wanted to do put my own stuff there, some hard work or some smart work or some details there, so you all enjoy. So to be honest, the initial part of the presentations did not have these slides. These are all, some of the slides are more value added proportions which are coming as part of this session to make sure that you all understand why something is not acceptable, right? Now 3.5.1.1 keyed hashing function, right? So now hashes used to render, I mean traditionally if you're using hashes, right, they're no more acceptable, and this is the best practice until 31st March 2025, but after that this is a mandatory requirement. It's not discretionary in nature. Now I will I've written here actually myself the main difference between a keyed cryptographic hash function and a hash or a salt is that the key is secret, means there is a key component which is secret here, right? That one point number one. Second is what does that mean to you? Attackers cannot simply look up the hash value in the hash table, or they use some pre-computed hash tables, rainbow tables and stuff and they cannot guess, or they cannot brute force. Brute force is an attack to recover the hashed or salted passwords, right? Ideally, that's how people understand. But yeah, brute force can be done at multiple levels. It can be not just password. There are brute force, lot of brute force techniques and types. Yeah, that's one thing, right? So ideally, keyed cryptographic hashes are more secure than hashes. The table talks about it. Okay. If you look at the table, this is not part of the PCI DSS content. As I said, this is something added. So hash input, message, output, use the hash, and there's a hash value, and security is not great. It's an integrity parameter. Okay. So you can check the hash to see that if the actual original message is intact or modified. Example, when we download a file from ISO file from a library, it will also give the hash saying that before you install, you check the hash, because if malware has modified it, something like that. You want to make sure the content has been untouched. Okay, that's salt. Now this salting mechanism came later stage as the technology got evolved, right? So the message, now you added some salt. Means you had already a nice dinner prepared. Somebody wanted to add some salt to it. To make it more spicy or meaningful, or make people vomit. I don't know but yeah, add some salt, and then you still have a hash value, and then output. Medium means this is just to avoid the dictionary attack, brute force brute force attack using dictionary, right? Words. So it's just to avoid, you added this, you came up with the concept of salt. Okay. Now that is also medium security. Now there is a keyed cryptographic hash is using a secret key, and you need to understand many a times, right? The keys are unique. Okay, unique, and maybe it's dynamic to make it more powerful. And yeah, message authentication is provided, verifying file integrity as well. There is an authentication scheme as well as integrity parameter, both into it. So now in the future, this is the requirement. For more details, you can do your own research, because lack of time doesn't permit us to be too detailed. I think I'm already going detailed. There is no doubt about it, but still, yeah. Even the PCSSC training doesn't go detailed, because they don't talk technology deep, but they talk about requirement itself. So requirement number 3 continued. As I said very clearly, right? Disk encryption, partition level encryption, rather than file, means in a bracket, means you're not going into any other disk encryption. Here it says it is implemented only follows on removable media, or if used for non-removable electronic media. Non-removable means hard disk attached to your system internally, non-removable, not USB. PAN is also rendered unreadable via another mechanism, means disk encryption is okay, but you need to use now database level, column level, table level, or row level, field level. I also missed that. Field level is another. Okay, now there is a FAQ 1091. If you are more curious, you can do that. Note down that, and acceptable PAN truncation formats are very clearly defined there. So what is acceptable when you do a truncation on the PAN? Okay, it's very clearly defined in that FAQ. Summarize once again, list roles and responsibilities. Sensitive authentication data being stored before authorization has to be secured, and covers this specific requirement, covers this now, but still it's a best practice until it says March 2025. After which the retention policy should cover such practice. You should have a retention policy on that also. Encrypt SAT, pre-authorization, pre-authorization before, and additional requirement for issuers storing post-authorization. Private data copying for remote when remotely accessed, right? Remote access. Yeah, talking about technical control, what has to be checked, what technical control is there, or how you prohibit such activity. Rules covering masking and truncation. FAQ is there, as I said. Yeah, once again, 4.2 is repeated here. Sorry for that. 3.5.1.1 ashes, right? We already covered that. Used to render PAN unreadable. So key cryptographic hashes have to be used on entire PAN. That's once again best practice until March 2025. Now, one condition is a customized approach cannot be used for key hashing, disk encryption, and storing of SAD. Somebody says we will use a customized approach and make it compliant. It is not possible. Customized approach cannot be used. Okay, they have to be assessed and it has to be marked non-compliant. If it's non-compliant, mark for remediation, right? Knowledge check. I'm not gonna ask anybody to answer anything here, but I'm just gonna make you all brainstorm yourself, sit within yourself, do a self-assessment whether I understand the subject to certain extent now or not is the question. Which of the following algorithms should be used to meet requirement 3.5.1.1 keyed cryptographic hash function? Please remember, I'll give the key. Somebody was thinking now, put the highest number there, SHA-3512. That is stupid. The logic is stupid. Maybe your logic of number logic is okay, great, but that is stupid. Still, okay. And MD5, nobody will answer because old. Now, authentication, I said it provides. There is only one story here, HMAC, SHA 256. That is the one answer. Okay. Because yeah, that is the requirement now in the future. Means it's not the only requirement. There are other algorithms. Don't think that that's the only thing which will satisfy, right? Now, requirement number 4. I just want to make sure that we are on track. Pretty much. Just give me a minute. Yeah, 155 now. That's good. Okay. Requirement number 4. There's a lot of interesting things happen on requirement number 4 with respect to PCI DSS standard 4.0. It's a good amount of education, I'm telling you, because a lot of things were not really detailed on 3.2.1 and not organized and not specific. But in 3.2.1, whenever I've done an assessment, if any of the customers are on the call, I might have asked already them, show me the keys where you have kept the keys for your certificate. But that is 4.0 now. It's not 3.2.1. I'm sorry, I have to be honest there. But that was part of my assessment. Why? Because still, it never said that you don't do this, you only do this, but it was more generalized, it was not specific, and there was no clarity there. But an assessor knowledge level determined what level of depth he wanted to do an assessment. If he is knowledgeable, he would do a detailed assessment. He would cover all these areas, right? I was asking, but that is now a part of the 4.0 assessment on very clearly key repositories and how the keys are safeguarded, where is the keys sitting, and all these are coming. Even the all the certificates what you're using, TLS 1.0, 1.3, whatever certificate you have bought for your e-commerce site, and the keys, private keys to being put there, right? And there's a certificate stored. The keys have to be managed well, and there should be permission restriction on all this, and also usage of. There is a clarification provided in terms of whether a self-signed certificate can be used for external purpose. When I say self-signed certificate, internally used, yourself signing it. It's not signed by a root certificate authority, right? Like any of the CAs, root CAs, right? So they don't sign Entrust or root, Verizon, or any of the root CAs I'm talking. So. And another important thing is with respect to the revoked certificate, there is now it explicitly says if the certificate was revoked by the certificate provider for any reason, such certificate are not acceptable, and it has to be validated, it has to be tested, it has to be checked by the assessor to ensure that they're not using a revoked certificate, continue to use the revoked certificate for their own reason. Yeah. And it clearly says inventory of keys and repositories for such, right? Yeah, self-signed certificates are only acceptable for internal use. Yeah, and it has to be validated. It is not like some Jack goes into puts up his own certificate, CA certificate authority, and he starts issuing certificate for people for no reason. Yeah, that's not the one they're talking. It has to be validated internal certificate authority. Okay. Same story repeats here. Roles and responsibility as a start. Very clear. It's assigned, documented, understood. It's clear. Valid certificates. Certificate used to safeguard PAN during transmission means your e-commerce site accepting the credit card and it has a certificate configured and there's a lock there and you have configured it. It's all great from the external front customer. Just see the certificate. But whether on your web server, are you really safeguarding the certificate means their keys properly? That's a point, right? So that's what it's talking about. Or open public and yeah, it says open and public. Why there is no private is because private is still private. Internal network is still okay, but open and public networks are high risk. Inventory of all valid keys, yeah, is required. Okay, bonus slide. Here's the bonus slide. Requirement number 4: tips for storing private keys. Keep the private key in a secure location. Okay, there could be general tips here. Okay, safe, secure location, or a secure location on your computer. I don't recommend. Okay, but it should be a secure location. Don't keep it on your computer. It should be a central location. Only allow authorized personnel to access the private key. Yes, if you are a key custodian, yeah, maybe it makes sense, but still you cannot keep it on as long as you have a safeguard or a control and you have a you don't put the key in a document folder where anybody can access. You make sure that that folder nobody can access, right? So such kind of thing, because it's part of the cloud. Everything is part of the cloud now. Yes, it's possible still. When you say computer, its computer is mapped to cloud. You don't use any local storage anymore. So yeah, it makes sense actually when it says computer is cloud. Actually, if most of us are all cloud now. So system administrators, developers, or other needing exactly system administrator, Unix, Linux system administrator, they need access to that, right? Because otherwise your web server doesn't work without. So you need to give access, and there should be a request access request, and you should provision access accordingly. I had an interview with one of the customers telling maybe the key is sent through email. I said, wow, great. The private key sent through email. I said, done. Okay, that's not good practice, right? Monitor the for any signs of compromise, change of the file permission. That's once again your XDR, FIM, file integrity. There was a bit of a conversation going on saying can my XDR has the capability to do FIM. So do we have to still do the FIM? Do we have to still buy the FIM and all this, right? I clearly said so. If XDR can do, if you can show that it can also include all those requirements under FIM requirement can be covered. System files, critical files, logs, everything can be monitored for changes. I said absolutely fine. There's no problem. No need to buy 100 solutions just because somewhere something is written. We don't stupidly go and buy things, waste money, just cash burn. Once again, my cash or your cash? No, nobody's got name on that. So it's all our cash. So no need to burn the cash. That's why I'm telling. So be conservative, but not too conservative that you just don't spend at all on any good things. So change of file permission, unauthorized access attempts, and other suspicious activity. Yeah, that's file integrity monitoring story. A bit of a. If you believe the private key has been compromised, immediately revoke. Yeah, this is that's something covered. Yeah. It's part of the 3.2.1 that's covered already. I mean, those things are covered. During an assessment, one needs to be confirmed to ensure that usage of self-signed certificate is secure. So anybody knows the answer? You just please. I'm going to say we don't have a ABCD for you to put, so that's why I'm not asking you to answer. If ABCD was there, just easy on the chat window you could have put. Maybe next time, next session, we'll make sure that there is ABCDs, and whoever answers gives the most right answer, we put up some rewards for them, some prize. Yeah, guess I'll tell you. Only test environment and never in production. Very vague. The data being sent is already encrypted. It's vague. Customized approach, risk analysis. Well, there's no relation. That's also. There's only one specific statement talks about internal COs used in the certificate author is confirmed. Yes, means you have already authorized the CA and it has been confirmed. Yeah, that's the answer. Antivirus. That's good. We got 1 more hour to cover another 6 requirements. Not bad. But I'm gonna go fast now because we got 5 minutes. We are less. Antivirus to anti-malware. There's a change now. They don't call antivirus anymore. Anti-malware. Not so commonly system word was used for all the Unix and Linux system because they don't get commonly affected. It was the notion or the idea that people have in their brain. Now they change it as not at risk. Okay, not commonly at risk. Not commonly at risk or not at risk. It's okay. For me it's not commonly at risk, but not so commonly at risk. It's very it's sometimes these kind of words are very disturbing actually because it doesn't make sense. So anyway, not so affected or not so commonly affected or not at risk system, right? Now it's not at risk. I just wanted roles and responsibilities added, and there is a requirement which is talking about not at risk, which is not so commonly in 3.2.1 current scenario. Now for those system, you need to continue to do, you need to do a periodic targeted risk analysis to understand whether still they are not at risk or not. Okay, that is the requirement which is coming now new. Okay, now there are certain changes which is coming additionally, right? Now period. Now period based on, now what is the frequency of scan and all this has come into TRA. Now you can do, entity can do a targeted risk analysis and define their own frequency for the scan. And further, there is one requirement which is coming is this is all under, if you look at, right, this is this and this one is in the why this is connected 5.3.2 and 5.3.2.1. 3.2.1 is a requirement under 5.3.2, means for a system which is a continuous behavior analysis, using continuous behavior analysis only has to go through a TRA because continuous, it's already continuous. There is no need to for you to specifically go and define a frequency, but you can always define that because it's already continuous. For a traditional system, which is a signature based and scan frequency is defined, there is no need to, they still have to comply with the standard. Okay, there should be period defined and predefined period, right? Whatever. So daily scans or whatever. So now further on the same, right? Next level, removable electronic media. Now whenever you have a USB plugged in, there is a specifically requirement which is coming in on that, which is also there explicitly telling you need to still, you cannot just plug in, there should be a scan for all the CD connected system which should scan. One brand new thing which has come in is anti-phishing, because the phishing, as I said, has been the biggest issue. Most of the attack and most of the compromise, most of the threat is through email these days, because that's an easy target, right? Easy drive. It's an easy drive because the most weakest link is human parameter. If they are not the weakest thing, if you make them a strong link, then your organization is safe, because they always do the best thing by doing sticking to standards, and they don't do anything wrong. They know that they cannot click links and all this these days. That's why a lot of companies have come out selling products which are anti-phishing products, anti-phishing campaigns, wherein they'll say, we'll launch a campaign for your employees, we will emulate or simulate like a real-time scenario, and there'll be an email, nice beautiful email, and how many people will click and their passwords are captured, then they will give the report to you saying this many people are still can be target for phishing, and management gets to know, and they'll put up one special training saying that on that one anti-phishing training as part of the security awareness. All those people, at least they get to know. Like that, there is a lot of stories. So there's a company, no before you or no, some security company, the guy CEO got in touch, founder got in touch with me also to sell some product around the same. But the problem is, you need to understand, when your users click on those such links, and maybe it's looking like a or probably a bank, but it's still a risk actually. Capturing any of your password is still a risk. But where do they capture? I think their side still something is being compromised to your vendor. And how do you manage the risk? Targeted risk analysis on the vendor, on the product what you're buying. So your mind should be so good, well crafted to always be on the risk side. Understand that risk can come from any angles. So applicability notes are one thing which is very unique in 4.0. Every requirement, most of the requirement has applicability notes, right? You need to please go through that because that makes it clear for you. Automated mechanisms such as email servers. Here, very important. It says by putting anti-phishing, they are saying we don't be in out of scope email server where the PAN or the personal account number is never shared on email. There's no email in scope. Those systems don't get into scope now. It's only the technology anti-phishing is in scope, but not the email server. It's clearly, it is making it clear here in the applicability notes. Okay, a short break for me, for you guys to start your storming inside the brain. Knowledge check. So, which of the following is an alternative to performing periodic anti-malware scans on affected system for an entity using the defined approach? See, please don't get carried away. It says defined approach means traditional. Okay, not customized approach. He already answered because we've been talking. I said there's a scheduled scan, there's a real-time scanning, there's a continuous behavior analysis and all this, right? Whitelisting is not a story at all. It's vague. Blacklisting and whitelisting is a totally different solution. Okay, it doesn't fall into the real-time scanning, and CBA is the answer. Now, so many. We are running out of time. So, removable electronic media is now covered in requirement 5. But which of the following statement is true? Now removable media very clear. So you need to understand this, right? Only removable media containing PAN, no, all rubbish, right? Account data must have anti-malware. All removable electronic media connected to CDA must have anti-malware installed. That's no, I think the fourth one. Systems with anti-malware installed must be protected from the risk of malware introduced. No, I think attackers. Yeah, the fourth one. Fourth one is the answer. The last one. So the risk of phishing attacks must be mitigated in which of the following ways? So which of the following ways will lead to reducing the risk of phishing attacks? Security awareness training, yes, definitely yes. Anti-phishing mechanism process, yes. Yeah, both. Both is the answer. Now quickly, let's jump into 6 because we are losing time. There's a lot right on 6 as well, but I'll try to be very specific here. So very importantly on 6, once again, roles and responsibilities once again added there in terms of whether the software developers know their roles and responsibility, what they're doing, testers know their roles and responsibility, software quality assurance team knows their roles and responsibility, and testing people on the test side, production people on the production side, all this, right? Now there is very specifically a few things which are very importantly to be noticed, right? Changes include, one is reorganization, bespoke, they call it as bespoke, right? Sorry, bespoke and custom software, and production, pre-production, separation of roles or segregation, live pans for testing. These are the ones which are changed. Okay, now let me now there are things which are still best practice, right? Many of the things are best practice, including the one it's talking about 6.4.3 payment page script, right? That what kind of solution can solve that problem itself is not clear yet. Means do you have to buy a technology there, or can you leverage existing technology or leverage existing technology along with certain special coding to solve the problem. Still unexplored, or it's a dark area. It's a dark area, but yes, I already answered. A combination of things can be used there, and you don't have to think about always buying solution to make life easy. No, that's gonna make it difficult also. Too many solutions, one day you go mad. You don't know. After a while, you have 100 things, technology taking over everything, and you don't remember anything. And if you cannot access the device, you're mad. You're like a mad dog because you become mad dog because you cannot move anywhere. That's dangerous. Actually, it has happened. It has happened. The technology is taking over everything, but we don't keep anything. But it should not be hitting us bad that you're totally blindfolded. You don't know where to move. It should not be the case, right? Our intelligence should be guiding us. So now all page scripts that are loaded and executed in the consumer browser are managed as follows. It means there is a method implemented to confirm each script is authorized. Means every script which is there has to be authorized. Okay, which is an authorized script only is running. There is an integrity of the script is maintained well. Means script is not getting altered. Means somebody is maliciously trying to alter the script to take advantage of it, to scrapping kind of technique, or do some use scrapping kind of technique, or to take some data, or do some skimming kind of technique to get some data. There can be multiple ways, or alter the script to give some information, or manipulate it, right? So those are the things integrity will help you out not to happen any of those incidents to happen. Inventory of all these scripts are maintained, and there's a justification of why each is necessary, and all this. It's very well. Now, inventory of all the application which is bespoke or bespoke, bespoke and custom software, just third-party software components, all are inventory are maintained. I've just put up some quick comparison for you between your own completely developed and you trying to use something which is developed customized, right? Those are the difference I put up in the next page. Another important thing which is coming here is test environment is being replaced with pre-production environment. Now they don't call it as a test anymore. It's called pre-production environment. And clarification around using LivePan in pre-production only if they are inside. Means clarification is provided around using LivePan in pre-production only. You can use pre-production LivePan only if they're inside CD and it meets all requirements. Means you need to go through the test requirements under 6 very clearly. Okay. Now, difference between bespoke and in custom software, right? So custom software is you need to understand there is a risk part of it, right? So something is developed from scratch is highly customizable, and it becomes more expensive. The cycle is more full, and it can be on the SSF framework, on the SDLC life cycle. It can be on the life cycle. It can go through that life cycle certification, right? Then you get more assurance on that. Now, development time is longer. Definitely, it's full product, right? And a custom software is something which was available, and you just pull it out and you customize and use it. A lot of like CMS and ready packages you can customize, and it just works, right? But they are more risky. You need to understand, and because not highly customizable. That's one big problem, and it doesn't suit your business objective or security objectives are not being met. That's another problem. Maybe not met. Now, I've also added a lot of details here. This is a bonus slide from SSF. Okay, what is this SSF story about? In terms of how it's what is applicability for bespoke and custom software. Applicability of it depends on these factors. One is the type of software, another is the level of customization which is there, and organization risk assessment. These are the 3 factors which goes in there. Now, we're talking about if it is bespoke, it's complete. What is the type of software then? So what is applicability, whether it's storing, transmitting, or blah blah blah. Then the applicability of the things coming, right? Standard, whether it's storing, more complicated. Whether it's only processing, a little less complicated, like that. Less then accordingly requirements are getting applicable. Level of customization in terms of software is highly customized. Now, this is applicable for custom software. So how much of customization is possible, and what is the likelihood that it might add a risk or a vulnerability? Whether do you need any additional security plugin or measures and this, right? So those part comes into play. Organization risk assessment. Organization definitely after such using such software means bringing that software and customizing it and using it, they need to do a risk assessment on that. This once again it's a TRA only, target risk assessment on custom software, right? Very, very important. So to ensure that there is all the potential threats and vulnerabilities are cleared. Okay. So I have to be quick, sorry, because we are losing very much time to already 2:20. Tips are there, security controls for these kind of softwares, customized as well as full-fledged developed software, right? Always don't use default libraries, use secure programming languages and libraries, and implement your coding practices which are very secure. Your developers are trained and very well trained to know those security parameters, and they do all the validations, and there is a good amount of encoding done if it's required, and there is no unnecessary overheads, and outputs are validated. Test for vulnerabilities, run your own test, static and dynamic both dynamic analysis tools are there, and you can use both manual and tool based and all this, right? And then functional test and all this, right? Apart from that, you also do change control, proper change control, and there's proper approval testing process too. So you don't do any, you don't break to fix something. You just do change to fix a break, but not to break something else, right? That's another thing. Keep softwares up to date, patches, applications then and there within the period time frame defined. Push out those patches in the secure vendor patches, or your own software development. You need to see through if Java has got any updates and all this, right? If based on the languages or the program what you're using. So you should develop a vulnerability management program, and which clearly defines your period of checks, testing, assessment and remediation and all this, right? Quarterly, half yearly, yearly programs. Monitoring is very important. Just keep monitoring for any security incidents, and there's alerts coming in SIM kind of thing, security incident and event management system, which can do that purpose. Now, additional bonus slide on the tips for your tips to protect scripts on a payment page or a web page generally, right? We all know CSP are great thing to use. There are set of directories which are given. What sources it can trust, resources, scripts, style sheets, images, and fonts. All that are part of the content security policy. It's written, right? That will at least help to prevent most of the injection flaws. So attackers don't inject any malicious scripts into your page. Now, web application firewall, great tool, and it's as part of the 4.0. It's once the best practice, it's a best practice right now, but soon 4.0, in the 4.0 they are telling that there is a need for automated tool, and there's no more manual. Means WAF is becoming mandatory in the latest part, not immediately, later part, right? We will see that later. We know web application firewall, great thing, great solution there. You can use something called script obfuscator, wherein so the people don't get hold of the script, still they cannot use, and they cannot, it's obfuscated, means it's just spread, or it's all cut, and it's not in a proper readable format, and it's not encrypted. This process is not encryption. Please understand that we're not encrypting anything there. Once again, code signing is one mechanism, but it cannot be used for all the cases, right? Authenticity of the scripts, but it can add. See, please do understand, technologies are great, all these solutions are there. There will be a delay, there will be a processing delay. There is a delay in this by doing this. Means your payment page processing, there will be delay, which is a major problem. So that's where is the challenge we're gonna see in the future. What is the best technology which can cut this challenge off, make things work with the lesser delays, without any greater delays on processing delays? Because many a times when you have a fraud detection and all this, right, you cannot there is a requirement that you need to quickly finish off the transaction in terms of there's a a response time, end-to-end response time, and there cannot be too much delays there. A lot of components to it. You need to understand we are only seeing one part of it, but there's a lot. Keep your scripts up to date, but have an authorized list of script, and make sure you have a FIM enabled and payment page tampering, anti-tampering kind of mechanisms, and there might be solutions coming. People will develop solution and they'll sell in the marketplace soon. Okay. Maintain inventory also all such scripts. Create authorization rules to update or replace such scripts. Yes, there should be authorization rule, not unauthorized access or access as well as change should not be allowed. Now, as part of the 6, I clearly said, right, for public-facing web application, automated technical solution is deployed that continuously detects and prevents web-based attacks, right? Application-based attacks. So, which is best practice until 2025 March, WAF is mandatory. Yeah. Now, when is the automated technical solution required to protect? We already saw that March. Yeah, from March 31st, 2025. Now, quickly to go through 7. 7 is there's a very few changes there in terms of roles and responsibilities stays there. User account and privilege. User account, right? Privilege as well as non-privilege. User account review has to be done 6 months. Now, user access review, user access review has to be 6 months, which is new. Okay, and application and system account review has to be developed based on TRA. You need to develop your own period. Okay. Now there is a clear definition because many people were asking, right, between this word consumer and customer. Individuals holding card purchasing goods or consumers, customers or an entity that choose means TPSP, third party service provider. An entity that chooses to use TPSP, they become customer. Now there is a bit of a change. Something has been moved from 3 to 7 is this one. Access to user access to query repository of stored card data. This is one change. There is a programmatic method, and only administrators can query the directly query. This is the misuse of query access to repositories of card or data has been a regular cause of data breaches. That's why this has been consolidated, because access control, right? Logically, it is coming here. Means it says clearly query repositories of stored card or data is restricted as follows: by application or other programmatic methods. Only responsible administrators can directly access. Yeah. Now. Yeah. So consumer. Which are the following words you use to describe cardholder accounts within the requirements and testing procedure? Consumer. Okay, on requirement number 8, now we are moving towards 8 on the authentication perspective, password policy, multi-factor authentication. More importantly, MFA is a big thing here in the password. These two, and also bringing in service provider password only account and all this. There's a lot of things here added, and bit of changes are also there. You need to understand. First one, password length is changed. Okay, first and foremost is password length, 12 characters. Now it's 12 characters enforced. Does not support 12 character. Minimum length of 8 means in case if your system not supporting, it should be minimum 8. Both numeric and the complexity part, right? Now additional requirements for service provider. If passphrases are used as the only authentication factor or customer user access. Okay, single factor, it becomes single factor, it's not multi-factor, right? Now in such scenario, now they're clearly telling that 90 days you got to change the password. But if MFA is already used, and there is no need to be worried about changing password often, so that gives a relaxation, saying user account with MFA don't need to go through a periodic 90 days password change story. Yeah. Interactive usage is also one important thing which has come in. Interactive use is interacting many single user account interactively used, right? That's dangerous actually. It becomes like a generic account actually, if you ask me. Exceptional cases, business specification, explicitly approved, access to account is granted, all this, right? So now back to same story as I said. 90 days per story. MFA user account with MFA don't need to go through 90 days password change. That's standard pretty much. At least two types of authentication. It doesn't really say. Some, as I said yesterday, something you know, something you are, something you have, right? Something you know is password. Something you have is a smart card. Something you are is biometric, your fingerprint. Okay. Requirement: identify user and authenticate access to system components. It's more on idea. It's IAM, identity access management, right? Group shared generic user account real-time real-time dynamic analysis. That's one word, new word, which it's come up. So it's a bonus slide, right? I've added here some common types of MFA. Passwordless MFA. There's a kind of no password OTPs used and sent emails. Push notification MFA. This is a evolving MFA requirement. You get a push on your mobile and you approve the access, and then you just move on along with biometrics. Just then authenticate and then approval on another device, pre-authenticated device, which is already knows that this device can receive. SMS based MFA hardware token, soft token, biometric. Yeah. Okay. Okay, which accounts must use MFA? Yeah, straightforward answer. Accounts used by personnel for remote access into a network that could impact CD. Yeah, straight. Now, other question. Merchant has shared services, network printers, access to printer via accounts that have a password as their own only authentication. Merchant cannot configure passwords to be changed every 90 days. What is that about? They can meet 8.3.9 with dynamic analysis of the security posture of the accounts with real-time granting and revoking. Revoking means, it's no more like continuously active accounts. We just activate and deactivate. That's it. Yeah, that's a solution. Yeah, see, compositing control might be used. Yeah, yes, see, it goes under CCW because the legacy system should go through CCW. Requirement number 9. I'm not going to go through too much into it because there's one major and one minor. Visitor logs should have date and time of visit now, and periodic evaluation of point of interaction devices, inspection, and you maintaining the inventory, and also the proof of such maintenance being done. All this have come as an explicit requirement. Targeted risk analysis of how frequently you want to do these reviews or checks, maintenance, and all this is based on entity running its own TRA. Okay, done. Requirement number 9 done. Which of the following statement is true? I got 30 minutes. Which of the following statement is true? Used to meet a physical security control. Physical security control used to meet requirement number 9 must be located. No. I think the areas where POI devices are used, such as cash areas and retail store, are defined as sensitive areas. Include secure rooms outside the CDE. No, wrong. Yeah, no, I think that is the one. It says definitely security areas is the glossary include areas. Sensitive areas can include secure rooms outside the house network security systems. Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. That is the answer. And requirement number 10 is about audit logs, log review period. Now there is a automated log review. More importantly, there is an automated log review. Before they were talking about daily log review, which was really not fitting in. Most of the systems were picking up logs dynamically. It's automated. Everything flow is automated. they get incidents out of it and they work on it, right? Now that's why updated is saying automated log review. That's good. They did that. And another is log review period defined in TRA, target risk analysis. Okay, that's good. Detect and respond to failure of critical security controls. Means this is one explicitly they have put up saying you need to detect and respond to all the to failure of all the critical systems. So means there should be any logging enabled, and this ties back to the incident response plan on requirement number 12. So as an extension, saying respond promptly to failure of any critical incident. It should be covered under IRP. Okay, so it ties back there. These requirements tie back. So after March 31st, 2025, which of the following statement is true? Automated log review mechanism. Automated daily log review. Automated daily log review run nonsense, right? Log of critical system, blah, that's not. Audit log immediately. No, first one, huh? First one. Okay. All right. Requirement number 11. Good. We are on time now. Just getting. So 11, as we know, it's the same thing, but there is explicitly, as I said, one is the one big change. Roles and responsibilities stays there, and they're also talking about all the other vulnerabilities just to cover, because they don't want to specific talk about anything, right? Before they were talking specifically vulnerabilities, now they're telling all the other vulnerabilities have to be covered, right? And another is authenticated scanning. Now they're using a word authenticated scanning. Means you cannot just go ahead and provide any report and not anything and everything can be accepted. You need to make sure it's authenticated scanning, and the assessor also make sure that it means like a white box. So sorry. It is like a not white box. Uh, red hat, white hat kind of thing. You use a white box testing. You use the credentials into. So anyway, authenticated scanning is talking about the scan itself, scanner, and then multi-tenant service provider. They have explicitly mentioning they need to make sure that they comply, to make sure that there's enough isolation, segregation in user accounts and all this. Now, very, very important, covered malware communication channels are also getting addressed and relevant, and detect and report changes to payment pages, because they want to make sure, especially the payment pages where there are scripts and they are very highly protected, because many times there are scripts embedded and there's a lot of compromise which happens there. Actually, in the past also has been seen a lot of compromises there. Now one more very, very important thing is they have made clear very now, because CCW cannot be used as well for ASV. That's one big thing, blow. Okay. It also, it says the requirement is not eligible for, but the problem is in place with remediation. But we need to see the boil down, because in the template, in the summary, they removed the in place with remediation. We need to check back now whether I think there was only Hello. I think I'm audible. Sorry for that. I think there was some issue, technical issue. I think it's caused. Yeah, I think still have time, few minutes. I'm just gonna be quick. Uh, um, okay. So knowledge check. How much? Wow, the question is like low risk vulnerabilities discovered during internal scanning be addressed. Now the question is how much? How should we address the low risk vulnerabilities discovered during internal? Yeah, scanning. So yeah, I think there's a screen sharing problem. Okay, so the yeah, so I think there is a bit of a technical issue. So internal scanning be addressed, low risk, right? They must be addressed back on the risk defined in the TRA. They must be resolved in 3 months. They must be patched. No, actually you cannot leave the low risk because it might become a high risk or medium risk, right? So there's no point in just saying we don't address. Yeah. So it should be addressed. Okay. A TRA. Just take it in the TRA. The last option. The last one must be addressed based on risk defined. Yeah. Now, how should a modern e-commerce merchant meet requirement 11.6.1 for a change in tamper detection mechanism for their payment page? Uh, Payment page only code payment page use static. Give a card order a copy wrong. All this rubbish by the name by this way it is written, right? Now one is gone, two is gone, three is gone, four is the answer. Yeah, I think yeah, time that is the answer. Yeah, they are also giving guidance. SSC has given some guidance around using CSP monitoring and reverse proxies and all. But yeah, the code of obfuscator is not listed here. All my own content. I mean, I put up that content. Okay. Anyway, requirement number 12. The beauty of it is it should be an umbrella holding everything. The targeted risk analysis itself is part of this actually, because the whole risk assessment will revolve around it. Whole process, including human resource, hire, fire, everything is should be ideally on the requirement number 12, because information security policy as an umbrella should be holding all the other process and procedure, which is just administrative, technical, or whatever. Right? Everything should be referenced under that. Information security policy should be holding references for everything. So now incident response plan also should be part of this. So target risk analysis is a new thing. TRA for a customized approach, new thing. Hardware and software review. Before the 3.2.1 never had any coverage around saying that review of hardware as well as software technology in terms of end of life. They are explicitly telling end of life and end of support systems. That was not explicitly anywhere mentioned and covered. Now, service provider related documentation, very importantly, additional requirement for service provider, how they impact, and you need to see that maybe a targeted risk analysis is required. Very importantly, new requirements, security awareness training updates. Means it has to be updated, it has to be delivered. Awareness of threats, new vulnerabilities, acceptable end user usage, acceptable usage of technologies. Their policy should be covering that, and they should be trained saying do's and don'ts. Service provider related training for incident response personnel to know how to act to an incident, a specific incident. They should know already. There should be playbooks or runbooks to help them out, documented as well as trained. Inclusion of alerts from those payment page anti-tampering is there, but still there is alert coming in. And unexpected pan plan. Yeah, 10.7. Yeah, and plan. I think that one is an incident around pan. Example, a pan has been gone out of the scope. It's found on some system. Yeah, that's a plan to handle to unexpected pan found on found in some place. According to requirement 12.6.3.1, what must security awareness training include? How to react to potential phishing attacks. Best practices for no. 4 is ruled out. I think 3 is ruled out. 2 should be the right answer. What must be included in the incident response procedure in the event that stored pan is discovered in an unexpected place? List of all other unexpected location that might have pan. List of all other unexpected location that might have pan stored inside. No. Training for personnel to identify pan. Instruction for pan to be securely deleted. It says incident response procedure in the event that stored pan is discovered in an unexpected place. Should be this, whether any SAD was stored. Oh, this is going further detail. So that's good. Actually, it's saying that if there is any other sensitivity there, means any other extra data, sensitive data is also stored along with PAN or not. It's going further. Okay, we got another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, technically 10 minutes for me to wrap up. 5 minutes to just for question and answer session. Um, Now, there are appendix, as I said, multi-tenancy cases in service providers with multi-tenancy, a cloud or any other service provider, data center provider with multi-tenancy. There are new requirements under that: logical separation to prove logical separation, um, provider and customer, logical control between customers, and further reporting and addressing suspected compromises. So there are appendix A1 is about that. So A1 and A3 is about DSV, designated entities supplementary validation, supplemental validation. Yeah, this was there in even in 3.2.1. So now, last but not the least, what is the difference between not applicable and not tested? Very, very importantly. So very clearly, there is no more in place in remediation. It's been removed. Um, and what is the difference between not applicable and not tested is very clearly written here. So not applicable needs validation still check, but not tested is nothing. No, you did not do any checks at all. That's how it is, and it can lead to partial assessment. One will lead to full assessment, another lead to partial assessment. Okay. Changes to rock part one. I think we already have discussed. I'm just gonna quickly jump through managing. Now, very very important. The third party service provider also now got very detailed table now in terms of their details. What do they do? Purpose for utilizing the service provider. They PCI. They've been assessed. They have AOC and all this. A table has been improved. We did have something, but yeah. Now, critical hardware and software, as I said, also has been covered very clearly in the functions, vendor, total number of system components, and all this. I think this is repeating, but just system evidence, documentation evidence, all have been segregated now, clean and neat. Not like one place where you throw everything. Next is responsibility matrix. To once again refresh the knowledge from the earlier slides. NTTA will build test control because they're responsibility. They did the implementation and they documented it, and they monitor the effectiveness. They fill up the control matrix and they do targeted risk analysis and provide the results, all these results and documents to the assessor for assessor to review and start his job of developing testing procedures to ensure its ongoing effectiveness and put the findings across. Yeah, there is a note there. Not required, it says. But it just include all the required information. SAQ, self-assessment questionnaires, level 2 kind of assessment. So SAQ-D is for merchant as well as service provider, right? So there is a change. 2A. So section 2A replicated from ROC. There was nowhere in any 3.2.1 there was a need for any diagrams and account specific tables where you fill up the account data, SAD, ASV, and all this. Now and also assessments are supported now. Changes to SAQ once again. Same list is there. Updated requirement in place with remediation not tested and not applicable. I'm not sure if no longer. I don't think so. In place with remediation is there. It's no longer, right. 4.0. It's removed. Align with changes to the ROC. Yeah, it aligns with changes to the ROC now rather than it's as a separate document. Partial assessments are possible. SAQD for service provider and merchant both available, still available. For everyone for joining this session, giving us an opportunity for us to share the knowledge from the PCI DSS 4.0 standard perspective. It was pleasure to have you all here, and I will leave it to the audience if you want to ask any specific questions.